Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We are one day on from Celtic's massive win at Ibrox, and as you can see, one day on, the smile has not come off my face. However, a bit of a meltdown on the other side of the city, as to be expected with the circumstances surrounding the magnitude of that game yesterday. But reaction is totally normal. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. It would be much appreciated. We of course now enter that international break where things get a bit quiet for a couple of weeks. So it would be appreciated if you stick around, you support the channel, we keep going. I'm going to announce the details for the giveaway over the next 24 hours as well. So keep tuned to both me on this channel and on my Twitter, and we'll hopefully get that announced soon. But thank you all for your support. So how we all feeling then, Celts? Top of the world, looking down on the Rangers. That old chestnut, that's how I'm feeling anyway, because that win yesterday was huge for Celtic for so many reasons. But now that the dust has settled and it's about more than just the result, it really just goes to show how big that win was for just general atmosphere. Because you load up Twitter, you load up Facebook, you load up social media in general, you go through my comment section, and it's good to just see a unanimous happiness amongst the Celtic support, which is very different from how we were all feeling this time last week when we dropped points to St Johnstone. We really needed that. Brendan Rodgers really needed that. There was a real risk that things could have got incredibly toxic. And now when you look at what's happening at the other side of the city and the way that their supporters are now turning on each other and fighting each other in the stands and moaning about everything on social media, that could have been us. You know, we could have been the ones in a very toxic position. So that win was so important. And I'm glad that we got it because, yeah, we can just chill for the next 2 weeks. I think we can look forward to what we're seeing. I think this could really be the start of Brendan Rodgers' second era at Celtic Football Club. Talking about Brendan Rodgers, just how good was it seeing all the images of him yesterday driving down London Road with his arm raised out the window. It was fantastic. I love him to bits. You all know that. I've been dying to have Brendan Rodgers back at Celtic Football Club, and he's here, and I just hope that this is now the point where we can all sort of rally around him. Remember that tifo we had a few years back of Ange, and it was like the man with his fist raised in the sky leads us into battle, or whatever it said. That's how I feel about Rodgers driving down yesterday with it out the window. It's good to see him enjoying his time back here. It's good to see the fans back on side, and hopefully things stay like that. Talking about Rodgers, now these were actually comments from the manager from before the game. This was from his pre-match press conference the other day, and we didn't get a chance to speak about them on the channel, but they show ever so greater now. They stand more true now that we've won the game and we've been successful, and we were successful in the manner that we were. He said that he has absolutely no doubt and how to win. I know what it takes to win, and I'll show the players how to win. It might not be the first game of the season, but over the course of the season, over the course of my time here, I believe we will do that. My body of work hopefully shows that my teams have always been aggressive and on the front foot and attacking and creative and fast and powerful, and this team will be that over time as well. But in the meantime, we need to continue to get results and work and look to improve. And yesterday, I really do feel that that was the first steps in trying to become this fast, aggressive Brendan Rodgers style team that we knew back in 2016, 17, 2018. I'm hoping that this is the real catalyst for us to kick on and do that. Let's use this as the motivation to get better, because yesterday there was really good moments in that game, and I thought in the first half we showed true class as a football team in phases of play. And when key players are back and when we have our strongest side, God, we could walk this league again. So, you know, talking about showing the players how to win, he done exactly that yesterday, and we can't underestimate how important a win that was for Celtic in trying to kick on with their season. So the absurd reaction. Oh yes, trust me, there has been some absurd reaction to yesterday. Of course there's been, because when you win a derby game, it's all good for you, but there's always a meltdown on the other side. And look, that stands true when the shoe's on the other foot. When we lose a derby, there's a bit of a meltdown on our side. That's how these things work. But, wow. That disallowed goal has really stirred Rangers up, hasn't it? So, I guess we better talk about that. So, according to numerous outlets, Rangers are set to, once again, go to the SFA and put in some complaints over the officiating of yesterday's game, and more in regards to that disallowed goal. Some of the headlines: Rangers demand answers from the SFA over their controversial referee call in Celtic defeat. The article goes on to say that Rangers will demand answers from the SFA over Kemar Roof's disallowed goal during their 1-0 defeat to Celtic in the first Old Firm derby of the season. So Rangers have yet to publish an actual statement on the matter, I believe, at the point of recording. But reportedly they're heading to the SFA to launch complaints into how VAR was used in yesterday's game. The same Rangers who published a statement in 2019 demanding that VAR would be brought into Scottish football. I already know there's going to be a number of Rangers fans clicking on to hear what I'm saying, and as always I try to keep a level head and look at it as fair as I can. I want to give my opinion quick, and I gave this opinion yesterday in my match reaction video. The goal being disallowed, it was disallowed for a fair enough reason. I'm going to talk about what everybody else is saying and all the opinion and reaction and hear other points of view in a moment, but it's disallowed for a reason. There was a foul on the Celtic player which disallowed the goal. Now, I've heard people saying, oh, well, he kicked the Rangers player, etc, etc. Listen, that happens anywhere on the park and a foul is given. The Celtic player is fouled. And that's it. Yes, it's soft. I understand. And I can understand the frustrations because, listen, if it happened to Celtic, I'd be really, really annoyed. I would be. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I wouldn't be. But when you look at it and the more that you actually watch it, the more understandable the foul becomes. At first, I was like, massive let-off. And it was a let-off. Don't get me wrong. But it is. It's a foul on the Celtic player. And unfortunately for Rangers, it led to a goal. And the goal had to be chopped off. That's exactly what VAR has been brought in for. It's been brought in to eradicate these errors in the game and to identify fouls that have maybe been missed by the referee, and it done its job. And that's exactly what Rangers wanted when they put out a statement 4 years ago. So just a reminder, here is the statement that Rangers put up in 2019. Rangers is today repeating its call for the introduction of VAR following Sunday's Premiership victory at Parkhead. That was, of course, following that game in December 2019 where Rangers won at Celtic Park. We don't need to revisit that, but Rangers were very, 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 very vocal about wanting VAR. They spearheaded the movement to bring it in here when we all knew that it was going to be flawed. So really, reap what you sow, I suppose. And it follows on from Rangers being the same side who put in a 8-letter point of complaint to the SFA for refereeing decisions that went against them. And I feel like at times, you know, there's a real cheek for us to be called the ones who apparently conspire and think that there is something against us and that the referees are all Rangers supporters, because as soon as something happens, it seems like the first protocol for Rangers and any Rangers manager is to go crying to the SFA. We live in a very, very, very fickle country. You know what I mean? Like, this happens with both sides. You know, something goes against Celtic, we complain. If something goes against Rangers, they complain. That's just fact of life. You know what I mean? Like, nobody's innocent in this. Both parties are very much guilty of having a wee complaint or such. But that just, to me, seems like Michael Beale and Rangers trying to make an excuse for losing the game, a game which they deserved to lose. One point I wanted to bring up was the fact that back last season, we went to Ibrox and Connor Goldson played a game of volleyball in the box. He used his hands to stop a shot. It was a clear and obvious penalty. It wasn't given. It went to VAR. They decided no. They gave their reasons for saying no. And that obviously didn't sit well with Celtic fans. It didn't sit well with myself because it was a clear penalty. And with VAR being used, that should have clarified that it was a penalty. Instead, that didn't happen. And the following days after that game, Celtic complained to the SFA. There was reports from the Daily Record and other mainstream articles that Celtic were going to speak to the SFA about a dodgy decision. Following that, Celtic fans were lambasted with abuse because we were complaining and because we weren't happy. So let me get one thing straight. It's okay for Rangers to complain when a decision goes against them, but then when it comes to Celtic, they're not. even though you could argue, and I do wholeheartedly believe that was more of a penalty, a clear and obvious penalty, than Rangers had a clear and obvious goal. So, it's like there's no consistency, as we know, right? There's no consistency in the SFA, in VAR, in the refereeing decisions. But I just feel for Celtic fans to have been lambasted, and we've been dubbed, idiots for saying that the SFA are a conspiracy and blah, blah, blah. But then Rangers do the same thing. It's beyond me. I'm lost for words, really. When we did it, Celtic were the issue. That was the overriding consensus from Rangers supporters. I think now, more than ever, you should realise that Celtic are not the issue. And now we've got everybody clinging on to the words of Dermot Gallagher. Dermot Gallagher, oh my god, an absolute plonker of a guy who is apparently the holy grail when it comes to refereeing decisions, and what he says is absolutely spot on. Just because he used to be a referee, as if referees don't consistently get things wrong. Do you see the hypocrisy in that? Rangers are saying that the referee got it wrong yesterday, right? But Dermot Gallagher comes out and whatever he says goes. He can't be wrong. Bit of hypocrisy in that itself. Dermot Gallagher is a guy who's been retired for 15 years now. He hasn't refereed a game of football since 2007. The game has changed massively. For better or for worse, you can argue that. But in 2007, you got waved on to play on when you two-footed tackled someone and broke their leg. It's nothing like that now. Yes, it was soft yesterday. Dermot Gallagher's game of football is different from the game of football that we see now. Yeah, everybody is clinging on to his words just because he said, I think the goal should have stood, yes. Every football fan knows that Dermot Gallagher and all these referees, it was the same with Peter Walton when he was on BT as well. Everybody knows that what they say is nonsense. We laugh at them. 90% of the time we're like, get them off the telly. But as soon as they turn round and say something that benefits your side, and this just doesn't go for Rangers, this goes for the whole of the footballing landscape, right? As soon as they say something that backs up your side, they're like, well done. Great. He's always been great, that guy. He's not. He's terrible. He's a pain to listen to because he gets things so wrong so often. There's a reason that he's been retired for 15 years. He's old. The game has went by him. There's a reason he's on the telly, not on the park. Yet because he said it, it must be right. Dermot Gallagher, I forgot, is the end-all be-all when it comes to refereeing decisions. And just to back up my point even further, a shout out to Lint on Twitter who posted this video. I'm going to try and play it on screen for you if I can. This was a free kick that was awarded to Rangers against St Mirren, I believe last season. That was given to Rangers. Yes, the free kick was given to Rangers. This happened in amongst the box which St Mirren were shooting into. And Rangers were awarded a free kick. Is it just me? Are you seeing the similarities from yesterday? Yeah, when Celtic got given a free kick, it's off to the SFA they go. My overall point from all of this isn't to try and put the green tinted specs on and say that Celtic are always right and Rangers are always wrong. And I'm not trying to come across as a bitter fan who is saying that everything's okay and all the rest of it. What I am saying is, though, that this story repeats itself time after time when derby results don't go in someone's favour. There's always something to cry about, and you're always going to believe that your team is the one in the right and the other is in the wrong, and that applies to both teams. But Rangers running to the SFA over that yesterday is hilarious. The foul was given, the goal was disallowed, quite rightly so, and what it feels like, and what I've seen a lot of Rangers fans even agreeing with, is what it feels like is Michael Beale and Rangers are trying to look for an excuse to, say that yesterday they shouldn't have lost the game, when we all know, Celtic and Rangers fans, that Rangers did deserve to lose the game yesterday because they're not good enough. They're in a state right now, and Celtic were the better team. Whether that goal stood or not yesterday doesn't take away from the fact that Rangers were well and truly beaten. And for me, it feels like that Rangers are trying to make an excuse out of this, cause a reaction out of nothing, so that they can look back at it and go, we didn't lose the game. We were cheated. Anyway, I'm happy. Celtic won. It doesn't bother me. We'll see what the SFA say back in response to Rangers, but Celtic have won. We're 4 points clear at the top of the table. And I just hope that we kick on and listen, roll on the next Derby game, because I don't think Michael Beale will be going anywhere by then, unless things take a tragic downturn of events. I think he'll still be there, and if we have a full strength side and it's at Celtic Park, I look forward to that. So we'll see how it goes. Anyway, that does it for today's video. Like and subscribe, I suppose, and hopefully we'll have a lot to talk about over the course of this international break. Thanks for listening, thanks for watching. If you've been upset by this video, then I'm not going to say sorry. Cheerio.